Hi, this is David from Ethical Family Planning, posting a quick video to introduce you all to the Clearblue Contraceptive Monitor. That's right, Contraceptive Monitor. Clearblue have been around for quite a few years now with a fertility monitor that helps people have babies. They've now launched this contraceptive monitor, which, as the name suggests, is for people that don't yet wish to have babies. The two devices work in pretty much the same way. They identify your ovulation, therefore it can work out your fertile and non-fertile days, and hey, do you want to have children or don't you? Opening it up here, we see the device fits nicely in the palm of your hand, and it has this flip top lid on it. The hinge is a bit suspect on this. There's not a lot of reason to want to take it out and about to get it bashed around, but we do think that if you left this in the hands of a 2-year-old, by the end of the day that hinge would be gone and you'd have a contraceptive device without a flip top lid on it. When we turn it on, if the light permits, you can see it's declaring itself as a persona. More about that in a moment. It then goes on to say today is a green day, which means if you had intercourse today, according to this device, there would be no risk, or almost no risk, of pregnancy because you're outside of your fertility window. And then on this nice touch screen here, you can look at your fertility window. Bit of a mess at the moment because it doesn't have full data in there, but you'd be starting at the start of your cycle there on the green days, and as you go forwards through the cycle, recording more and more data, it would change to be red and green according to whether you're in your fertile or non-fertile days. There's also lots of other buttons you can change on this, if you want to change the screen brightness, the language, that kind of thing. It also allows you to set a PIN number on it to stop people viewing your data and your fertile days. We have yet to find out what happens if you put your PIN number in more than 2 times incorrectly. We believe it would wipe the data. It's the only logical thing it could do. Also, having read the instructions, we found out that you wipe the data if you don't change the batteries correctly. The batteries are accessed from the back here. You get 2 of the fat AA batteries. We reckon they're going to last about 6 months. And especially with the touchscreen on there, that tends to gobble up the batteries quite quickly. So the amount of time you're playing around on the screen will also have impact on the battery life. And we also found out that you wipe all of your data if you don't declare the start of your cycle within 4 days. After day 4 of your cycle, you've blown it and you have to reset the device, therefore wiping all historic data out, depriving it of the ability to learn from previous cycles. Now, we said that when you turn it on, it declares itself to be a persona because, as far as we can work out, it really is just a persona inside. People in the UK will be very familiar with the persona. It's a contraceptive monitor that's been around for many years in many UK pharmacists. Because these devices rely on urine-based testing, you have to buy test sticks every cycle to carry on using the device. Chemists love that because it means you have to go back to the chemist every month, pay them more money, and probably pick up some of the stuff while you're in there too. It's a chemist's delight. Both of them work in the same basis, in that you take your urine sample, you take a test stick. Now, we found that the Persona test sticks are identical to the Clearblue ones. We have no reason to believe that they wouldn't work between devices. You pop that inside for 15 seconds according to the instruction manual in your urine sample. You do this at the start of the day when levels of hormones are at the highest. You then, if we can get this on camera, turn that around there, pop that in, obviously try not to get too much urine on your hands. And in the case of a persona, you would slot it inside there to take a reading, or in the case of the Clearblue device, you would slot it in there to take a reading. You have to leave it in there for, it says 5 minutes in the instruction manual to be able to get a good result. So if you were doing this at work, a lot of people take the device to work and that's the first time of the day they use the bathroom, which is what the instructions recommend. You'd actually have to make sure that you allow yourself 5 minutes after having provided the sample to get a good reading off it. So that's how those two devices work. Whilst we're here though, we would like to introduce you to an alternative because we believe with contraception everybody should have as many alternatives as possible, but while staying non-hormonal, you can see it on our website. It's no secret we're big fans of the cyclotest. Cyclotest works in a pretty similar way, identifies your ovulation. From that it works out your fertility window, and then you can plan to have babies or not have babies accordingly, but the fact is you're empowered with that information. It's got a grey LCD screen Not as flash as the Clearblue monitor, obviously, but it does mean that the battery life is about 4 to 5 years as opposed to 6 months. It shows all of the fertility window all the way through there, with the solid black lines on the bottom being the non-fertile days and the cap in the middle being the fertile days, and a series of indicators on there with flashing baby symbols tells you quite simply when you're fertile, when you're not. It also records your daily temperatures for detecting ovulation, because as you probably know, that your basal body temperature does vary when you're approaching ovulation. It uses that to identify ovulation. The thermometer is really quite impressive. It's ingenious here. You can actually bend it all the way around and it doesn't break. I think that's quite childproof myself. Not that children should be using these things, but they do tend to get their hands on them, as I know myself. So because it's using the thermometer as opposed to the urine test sticks, it means that you don't have to buy the urine test sticks every month. So by using the temperature, not the messy urine samples, it means you save a heck of a lot of money. Contraception is something that most people probably practice for quite a few years after their start. So that's a lot of test sticks. Not sure what that's going to do to the environment overall, because they are plastic, non-biodegradable. Whereas with the cyclo test, you buy it once, you take the temperature readings, and you're done. There are a few of the bells and whistles on the cyclo test. You can learn about them at ethicalfamilyplanning.com. But basically, according to our maths, after about 3 to 4 months of using a cyclo test, it's working out cheaper than a Clearblue. The other killer factor here really is that the Clearblue is only 94% reliable, and the Persona also is of course 94% reliable, because basically it's just a Persona inside a Clearblue box. With that, that's not to say that every 6 times you use it it's going to fail every 6 times in 100. What it means is if 100 women use this over the space of a year, 6 of those during that year would become pregnant using this as their main form of contraception. So that's not as bad as it seems. It is not quite as reliable as the pill, for example, but it is non-hormonal, so it gets a big thumbs up from us. The cyclo test, however, is up to 99% reliable, so that's a double thumbs up for the cyclo test. We believe that everybody should consider at some point going non-hormonal with their contraception if it's correct for them. So we would ask you to check out the information on both, but our advice really is, if you want a nice flashy touchscreen, go and buy a smartphone, and if you want reliable contraception, get a cyclo test. Check us out on ethicalfamilyplanning.com. Thank you very much.